red snapper, roasted red beet, steamed sweet potato, shallot, ginger, garlic. Those are little tangerine supremes. Those are lime supremes. So I peeled a lime and took the segments apart, and that's fresh jalapeno. Got a little bit of vegetable oil and a good knob of butter and some fresh black beans that Shondale made today in the Instapot. And then we're going to talk about these pans real quick. So that's the meal. It's basically red snapper seared in that, and the roasted red beet, which we prepped a few days ago, probably maybe a week ago.
Yeah, last week.
It's been a while. We roasted 2 beets, and the way you do that is you cut the ends off the beets and put them in individual foils and wrap them. A little bit of olive oil. We do them about what, 425, 450 for about an hour.
Yeah.
Pretty high heat. I mean, it's substantial, and that way when you stick a fork into them and it comes out easily, they're done. We just leave them on the counter on the baking dish to cool off, and then we stick them in the fridge. I think I peel them. Yeah, I peel them then and stick them in a bag and or container and stick them in the fridge, and then use them as we go. Well, tonight is roasted beet. It's a warm roasted beet salad basically. So we like to do salads every night with vegetables, and this is a unique one. So we're taking a good knob of butter and some chopped garlic and throwing the roasted red beet in there. And you know, if we add anything, it'll be scallion or some fresh basil. And then at the end, I'm going to put a little cracked black pepper on them, and I like a little Parmigiana on mine. Shondale doesn't, so she's just going to have hers warm with the garlic and the salt and pepper. Now the snapper's pretty special. The snapper is a frozen product. It is not farm raised though. This is a good snapper. Wild caught, I guess they would call that. And then there's 6 to 7 ounces, boneless, skin on, and they're just beautiful. I'll show you the other side when I get them in the pan, because you go skin side down on snapper always. Get a good sear on that skin because you actually eat the skin on snapper. It's probably the best part. It almost turns into like a bacon. Yeah, that'd be reminiscent of a bacon. It's salty, it's crunchy, it's not real fishy. And there's not big scales. When you go to Mexico, you eat the snapper skin and all right off the fish. You just pull big chunks and you make tacos with it. You eat it with just on the plate with a simple vegetable medley or with a nice sauce. And, I've seen big snapper fillets done like we're doing at finer restaurants as well. So let's talk about the pans. So I have 2 pans I bought within about a month of each other. They're both 12-inch pans. The first one's nonstick, and it is made by Kitchara. So Kitchara is the brand, and it was pretty highly rated. I don't know if you can see it, but it's got a really good warp in the bottom. That's the way it came to me. I did not warp that pan. When I put it on there, I was like, what's going on here? It's not heating evenly. And I got to looking and realizing when you put oil in it, it runs away from the middle. It tells me we got a hump in the middle of that pan. And I had not heated it up. I had not done anything. Well, I seasoned it originally, heated it up, but I noticed it when I put the oil in there right when I was seasoning it. So it came to me warped. That's been a real pain in the butt. The other pan is made, well, for one, it's a carbon steel pan. So this is totally different. It's not got any non-stick substance at all in it. This is just carbon. That's actually very clean. It creates its own color as you go. Heavy pan. This thing is heavy, very thick, and more of a chef's pan. That's a 12-inch as well. And it creates its own non-stickness. Like this one has its, sprayed on the outside or whatever. If you treat a carbon steel pan right, it will be non-stick on its own. So we're gonna go ahead and fire up the oven or the stovetop. And both of them don't have to be going yet. We'll start the fish first. And once we flip the fish, we'll add the beet into a pan, or we'll add the sweet potato and the black beans into a pan, and then vice versa. So here we go. As always, if you like this, please hit subscribe and follow us. I do have an Instagram channel as well. It's MattDaddy2012. and then Shondale's on there as well. I think Shondale, Smack 10, but all that'll be in our bio. So anything you need, please hit us up and leave us comments. We'd love to hear what you want to see us cook next. All right, so obviously you always heat up your pan first. The rule of thumb is this. In cooking, I was always taught that you want to have a hot pan and cold oil. That creates kind of a non-stick subsurface for the protein or veg or whatever you're cooking. So regardless if your pan has rock in it or not, like this one does, unfortunately, you need to heat it up first. So preheat always, and then, you know, kind of put your hand over it to see how hot it's getting before you add your oil, because you want to make it a nice hot setup for this skin. You want to be a high temp. So what I do is I go high to start, and then when I add my oil, I back it down to about 3/4 or right above medium. That way I've got a good sizzle going on the protein, and it's going to cook it, but it's not going to burn it. Okay, so you got to be careful about burning, especially when it comes to fish. You want it to be done, just done. Maybe just a hair under, because it's going to cook more on the plate when it comes off. So you really got to be able to balance a little bit of the doneness and the oil and all that other fun stuff. So I'm seeing smoke come off this. Got my tongs ready, got all my fats here. I got my other accoutrement cut and prepped. And we talked about our root vegetables or root spices. We got the shallot, fresh ginger, fresh garlic, jalapeno. And then we've got our supremes, the little tangerine and lime supremes. So with the heat being like that, I'm gonna go ahead and turn down my stove just a little bit. Just a hair I'm right above medium. And as far as oil, I think I'm probably got about 2 tablespoons in there. And when it comes to recipe here guys, I wing it pretty much. Now, if you want me to write your recipe or email your recipe, I surely can. I can figure it out in a heartbeat. But I don't have any recipes in the bio. This is the recipe. So it's 2 fillets, 6 to 7 ounce fillets of red snapper. And then the other items, we're making the black beans with sweet potatoes. That'll be 3 or 4 meals. So we're making a big batch tonight. Same to go with the beets. The beets, 1 big beet, so we don't expect to eat the whole thing. But we're making the sauteed beets tonight, so they have a little more flavor, so we can utilize them in the next meal or two, next day or so. Makes sense? Hope so. Sometimes normally I would have probably chopped up more stuff for this snapper dish, but it's COVID time, so I'm really rationing the things we've got and utilizing the things we have a lot of. Like I got a lot of garlic, I got a lot of ginger right now. I got some cuties, you know, the tangerines, and I got some limes. So it's time to use those items because those perish. So we're using those, but I'm kind of trying to hold back on a couple other things. Like I'm not going to use my scallions tonight. I'm not going to use some of my Roma tomatoes tonight. You know, that kind of thing. Make sense? Cool. All right. So I'm going to put the pan back on. It's nicely heated the oil. And I kind of pulled that off to kind of talk to you guys for a second. So we're going to grab the fish. We're going to have a landing spot for it. And I always keep a little oil here next to my pan just in case you need to add some to keep it from burning. That's a good way to kind of control. You don't want to add too much to make it greasy because you want to hear the sizzle at all times. If you start losing that sizzle and you start boiling your fish, then it's definitely not the right thing. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, and then I'll show you flesh side. I've seasoned with salt and pepper on both sides. See that? It's about a 7 ounce fillet right there. And a little brother right there. And I put good hash marks in that. I scored it with X's probably about 5 or 6 times on each fillet. You see that? That's going to really help our cooking time as well and make them cook very even and quickly. You can tell right away I need a little bit more oil. You can always add it, can't take it away. Another one going down in. All right, dirty pan, right into the sink. I go ahead and rinse it off as well. I'm gonna rinse off my tongs too. Okay, so can you see this? See the amount of fat in there? See how much it's sizzling? It's kind of a controlled cook right now. So it's definitely not getting too fast, too done, that kind of thing. But we have, look at that. I can move this fish around this pan, no problems. Not sticking, nothing. We'll turn the heat up just a hair. We'll go ahead and get this other pan going too. How many beans do you want to pull out of this today? Is this what they're going in?
That's going to be their container.
Cool. Alright, so what I'm going to do to prep my beans for this dish is I'm going to pull some out of this container because they're going in here eventually. So, there's a couple of little scoops, about a can's worth. That might be 15 ounces. Okay, so to check your fish, kind of move it around a little bit. And kind of see how pale it's getting on the outside edges here. You see that? Starting to really get flaky and white in that area, obviously. You got a curl right there. That tells me we're pretty close to flipping this dude. Dudes, chicas, whichever. Hey, bye. You know what? It definitely smells amazing. So what I'll do is kind of move them around, twist them in the pan, just in an attempt to get more even cooking and maybe find another hot spot in the pan to help crisp up that skin a little bit. So this initial setting right here, where you have these guys in here, is vital. You really want to set up that skin with a good char. You really don't want to flip your fish too much. It helps, it just tears it up, makes it too done. So if you can do 2 to 3 flips, awesome. Cool, so I've got a couple done plates behind me, and I can smell this skin. I think it's about ready to flip. A little bit of vegetable oil over there. Gather up a spoon, a little bit of garlic. Couple of shallots. Back over here. Let's go ahead and flip this fish. Oh yeah, look at that. Go ahead. Shondale's excited. She loves this snapper. Throw that sweet potato in there for me, baby. Thank you. Yeah, these guys look really nice. And I was noticing we're using up quite a bit of our oil, so I want to make sure that I add more oil back in the pan so these don't burn. Yeah, we'll put the done in there. So right now in this pan we've got sweet potato, 3 of them. And a couple pieces of shallot, a little bit of garlic. And again, this is for a couple days worth of eating for Shondale and I. This is a big meal prep dish is what that is. But these guys are just beautiful. I can't get over that. Those are bonita. Look at that flesh. There's the sweet potato. Go ahead, baby. Yeah, that's going to be fantastic. And again, we're not using a non-stick pan. This is basically like a cast iron pan. It's heavy like a cast iron pan, but I mean, look at it. There's no sticking going on here, man. No, we got no sticky fish here. And these fillets are just rocking and rolling right now. So when we get done pulling these out, we're gonna have a little bit of fat in there. So if we need to add fat, we can. We got a knob of butter and a little bit of oil, keep the butter from burning. And then we're gonna put these items in there. And probably follow up with a little bit of veg stock, maybe some chicken stock. And that's gonna be it. It'll either dry up and we'll put dry vegetables over top of that crispy skin, kind of on an angle. You don't want to cover up too much of that skin because the crispy skin is kind of the killer part. You just want to lay the sauce kind of like right over the top of it. And not cover the whole thing or you ruin the skin, right? So, or you can go flesh side if you're not happy with the skin, but I would definitely not do that with a snapper. Just my personal preference to keep that skin